depends on lobbying. And that is why in this part of the world we shout, why are the Israelis having so much influence on the US foreign policy? Out of over 250 lobby groups, the Israelis control 197. So whatever is happening in the US, they are at the forefront. Africans have about 5, and we keep on complaining. So lobbying, and those associations are supposed to be the lobby groups. They've been exposed. ANDEC, ANI, HANIS, even my own RCDS, but we're all afraid that people will say, oh, you are doing it because you are looking for money. People will talk, but you must be ready to do your job. And I'm starting with something. It's like we don't understand ourselves. Trump, first time. Oh, Nigerians, when they visit you, they don't leave. Until Farid Zakaria gave details of what Nigerians are in the US. If you remove these guys, you are going to remove the eggheads within the US system. He stopped. Kemi Badenoch, oh, fixated with Nigeria. Ask her a question about the Metropolitan Police. She's talking about the Nigerian police. Their own level of, their standard of living will drop. So we must find a solution to our problem. Today, all these things are like threats. But the SWOT analysis says for every threat, there's an opportunity. We are not looking at the opportunity, we are busy fixating ourselves. So we need a rethink. We need to plan, prepare, and perform. Without preparation, nothing, there's no manna from heaven again. The period of a miracle from God is gone forever and ever, amen. You are the one that will do the job for yourself. My talk is not about the military or the other security agencies, even though they are involved, which I'll get to. It's about leadership of various segments of our security and other segments of our life, including the citizens. Security is interconnected. And that's why in the military they said it's a VUCA world. Violent, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. You solve a problem, another problem comes up. And people will challenge you are not working because they don't understand what you're doing. So, the impact of security in one country transcends that country. It goes to another place. You could see the effect of the Russia-Ukraine war since February 2022. We have globally problem of energy, problem of food, particularly wheat. In Nigeria, we are importing over $2 billion worth of wheat annually. It's not coming in again because the Ukrainians are busy defending themselves. And so we are shouting bread is costing 2,000 from 500 naira. It's going to be costly because wheat is not coming out free of charge again. And the Russians have blocked the Balkan Sea. Everybody had to beg the Russians to open the sea for wheat to come out. And it's periodical. They do that. And every nation has their problem. I put up there, the US with a population of 347.5 million has firearms over 500 million. For every 100 people, you have 120 firearms. So there are more weapons in the US than the human beings. And they are struggling. People are afraid of going to malls nowadays in some states because they are not sure you are coming out alive, particularly if you are black or you are Asian. And so we have our problems, particularly Africa, Middle East, and India subcontinent. We have problems based on historical. I'm not going to talk about this because Mike or Jeffrey had warned me. I have 30 minutes. I just talk about problems in all those areas. Now to Nigeria. On the 18th of December, Daily Trust reported figure from the National Bureau of Statistics. In 2024, 335,827 were killed. Oh, sorry, 614,937 killed nationally. Murder, kidnaps, victims who were killed after collecting ransom. In rural areas, 335,000. In urban communities, 279. There's nothing much difference. So even those of us who are living in the urban centers, we are not free from these problems. And then kidnappers collected 2.2 trillion naira after abducting 2.3 million people. Huge number. People are saying it's not true. And that's one of the problems we have. If a Nigerian gives a figure, you don't believe in it. If the American says this is it, you lap onto it. And I'll take you back 2022. Elon Musk came to Nigeria and met the then Minister for Solid Minerals. I want to pick lithium from Nigeria. I want to be exporting. And the minister said, no, come and establish the industry in Nigeria. He got annoyed, went to the ambassador. Before you know it, story was Boko Haram was coming to Abuja to pick everybody, and they started going out. They are back. Did they tell anybody they are back? So these are the things. Cutting across the siege of political regions is kidnapping that become commercialized. There was kidnapping before, but now people are using it as a means of livelihood. So over the years, we've come up with a whole of government approach, a whole of societal approach, a whole of nation approach, people-centric security architecture. We realize there's a problem. And that's a massive, massive plus on our side. We are not in denial again. We know there are issues. So everybody must come together, not just the totality of those in uniform, about 3 million. For a population of 267,319, as I yesterday morning from Worldometer. Massive. 3 million cannot secure. There is this axiom, I can secure you only through you. If you are not ready for me to assist you to secure you, I can't secure you. So security must come from everybody. Everybody must be part of this. So the program is apt, and I use McNamara, finally there, which says, in a modernizing society, he said some other thing, but above all he said, security is development. Development is security. Without security, you can't have development. The two goes hand in hand. You can't get one without the other. And that's why grappling with security for us to be developed. I'm running through because he's still looking at me, telling me I should run through. The first issue is clarification of concerns. I'm not defining, I'm just going to paraphrase. 4 issues, but I'm going to talk more about 2. The first is mobilize. To mobilize, I use Oxford Advanced Dictionary. I'm not quoting any big man. It's to organize and encourage a group of people to take collective action in pursuit of particular objective. There's a problem. You want to solve it. Move people around to solve it. Or bring resources. 2 things in mobilizing. You're either acting or you are assisting with resources or other things. So in this instance, the security agencies are acting. What are the responsibilities of other Nigerians to bring resources? Resources could be information, it could be intelligence, it could be equipment, it could be anything. Stakeholder, the same dictionary. A person with an interest or concern in something, or it also denotes a type of organization or system in which all members or participants are seen as having an interest in its success. So we want to have security. Every one of us is desirous of this security. So we're all stakeholders. And that's why I said it's not about the security agencies, it's about all Nigerians, particularly when we're shouting about a whole of societal approach to security. I'm not going to define insecurity, I'm just going to talk about it. Insecurity and national security. There's a problem for anybody to define. It's defined based on the individual author's perspective. And the problem starts with security. What is security itself? A dictionary will tell you it's freedom from fear, anxiety, or whatever. Now put national, that be nation, to ensure everybody is free from anxiety, from threat. It's not possible for every nation to secure citizens, because within that nation, there are drivers of insecurity. There are people who are creating the problem. To somebody, a freedom fighter of somebody is a terrorist to another person. So it's always very difficult. This time around, I'm only talking about law-abiding citizens. Now, through changing security landscape, things have changed from 1990, end of the Cold War. In the past, you can quote, my enemies have support from USSR. So I'm coming to you, NATO. Or NATO, this man has support, and USSR will support. That is no more possible. And then scholars said, problems will be more intra rather than inter. But we've seen what is happening. Even among the BRICS countries, between India and China, there's problem in Himalayas. They're fighting over that parcel of land. Mountain area, but with serious mineral resources. So the two want it. And they're fighting, and they belong to the same BRIC that is challenging the West. And then you know about the Ukraine-Russian problem. So it's going to be a mixed bag. It's not going to be just, but what we are facing is more of intra rather than things coming from outside. But most of these challenges are becoming international in nature. So I put a picture there, protest rage around the world, 2018, and it's still there. Everywhere we have problems. Then I put two pictures there. The first one, Samuel Huntington wrote a book. There was 3, 4, 5 books. But there was one that he specifically talked about all these issues we are facing. And he came up with Clash of Civilization, the book on Clash of Civilization. He identified 9 civilizations. How it came about, African civilization, he didn't explain. But he said within, there will be fault lines, line along which people will be fighting. And that's what the Sahel, which with the northeastern tip of Nigeria represent, the Berbers, or the white-skinned people up north, and the blacks down south. The problem in Mali, the problem in Burkina Faso, and part of the problem we're facing. But unfortunately, another person, a Frenchman, Dominique Moïse, said, no, it's not really clash of civilization. It's clash of culture. We have 3 cultures. Culture of fear in the West. No matter how developed the Western world is, they will always be afraid. They don't want others to meet up with them. They want to be in charge of everything. So they're always afraid. The second one is culture of hope in the East. The Chinese, the Koreans are waiting. When you finish yourself, you come back to us in the West. And then the man said there's culture of humiliation in the Arab world. Israel, eternal entity. All of them, 4 terrible wars have been fought. They've not been able to do anything, so they feel humiliated. My question is, what's the culture of Africa? That's why I put the question there. What's our culture? We want to be this, and we are losing our own identity. Unfortunately, globalization has increased the problem of states. Faster and cheaper communication and transportation. In the past, you write a letter, post a letter from Abuja to Lagos. It will take 7 days. For you to receive your response, 7 days. Today, on your WhatsApp, you send a message. You know the man had even sent the message. Now the government is even telling us, if you see a red line by your WhatsApp, it means we are trailing you. If you see 2 red lines, we are coming to pick you. So it's easy now for you to know what is happening. So that's what it had. And threats are, new ones are coming up, old ones are there. I've mentioned about it, and the situation might be worse. Because on the 4th of February, 4th of this year, US put trade tariffs on China, and China responded. 3, 4 days ago, they said, no, all technology companies from US are placed under watch. You are against our system. In the past, once US put tariff, the Chinese wants to talk. Let's discuss. Today, it's no more about discussion. You do something to me, I'm going to respond. They've developed, and that's the challenge we have here in Nigeria. I'm not going to compare US and UK and Nigeria, even though I'm going to mention the differences between countries that are managing their security. Everybody, like I said, have their problems. But it is the way you manage it that will determine the classification given to you. Stable, unstable, failing, failed, whatever they do is there. So, the first thing is, most of the countries will look up to and say they are okay. They've clearly identified and understand the threats they are facing. Trump came up and said, MAGA, make America great again. All these foreigners are the ones creating our problem. Let's shut them out. It is based on their national interest. Tariff on China. Now they are trying to talk to the Chinese. Nobody is answering for the past 2 days. Oh, this man is calling, that one is calling. And Z is sleeping. I'm not ready. And somebody sends something on social media. The dragon is awake. So the Americans must be very careful. You can't threaten China again. This is a sleeping dragon. Nigeria is a sleeping dragon. We need to wake up. That's it. We know the problems, but we have issues. They develop strategies. The strategy, it might not be good with you, but as far as they're concerned, it's about their national interest. The second is on elite choice. All of us here are elites. We are part of the elites. And we invited Professor Chinedum Wajuba, among so many others, to the Nigerian Resource Center to discuss. And we all agree there's a problem of elites. And somebody say, no, you are just hiding. What do you mean by elites? And I use Merriam-Webster dictionary. And it says, elite is a group of persons who by virtue of position or education exercise power and influence, much power, not just ordinary power, much power and influence in a society. All of you are influential, one way or the other. And these are the guys who determine what happens in a country. When you talk about, oh, let there be political will. What is the national interest of Nigeria? It is the elites who determine that. It's an elitist association. Because you've gone through education, you have much influence, you have much power. Citizens' engagement is ensured because they are educated. We don't look at the citizen. The elites don't want the average citizen to be part of the security architecture. It pays to be the way it is. People are shouting now because it's affecting everybody. At one point, it's Gabel, Boko Haram, no be Northeast, Northwest, find your problem, find solution to the problem. Unfortunately, the security agencies have been there, but the average Nigerian don't respect those who are performing their job. The example I used to give, I used to tell a story of, as a captain, I went on course in US, and then I went to a mall to buy something, enter a supermarket, and I was in camouflage. I stood behind and said, no, Captain, please come forward. I said, no, I don't. I said, no, you don't have time. Please come. I went to the counter. I wanted to pay. Someone said, no, don't pay, it's on me. You don't know me. I said, no, you are a military man. You are too busy to be standing, whatever. And then we went to the airport, and everybody moved aside. Inside the aircraft, the pilot announced, in our midst today, we have so people from different, everybody stood up and clapped. In Nigeria today, be in uniform, you want to buy, say, I beg, we're on queue now. They will tell you to your face, because there are people who are working on that, and they are going through the script given to them by the Western world. They respect their own security, whatever. Floyd was killed, 2020, Black Lives Matter. What happened to the policemen? Yeah, they were tried, but nobody insulted them publicly. Here, even when a policeman is going on the street, you are a thief, you are a rogue, somebody even wants to tear his uniform. That's how bad we've gone. And it's because the elites don't want the average Nigerian. If they do, what the power they believe they have will be lost. But you can be influential. When we are talking about leadership, it's about influence, not about power, not about authority. But we want naked power, and that's a major problem. So citizens are encouraged over there. We don't encourage our citizens. Sanctions are rewards. You do something, everybody is afraid of being caught, because once you are caught out there, you'll be sanctioned. I'm not saying they don't influence. Nobody is saying they don't. After all, Trump is there, charged for 1 round something plus whatever, and yet he was allowed to contest, and he's now the president of US. 3 days ago, the same Trump said, look, you, Department of Trade and State Service, or Department of State, don't remove this clause that says Americans should not bribe outside the US when they are looking for contract. It's there. He signed an executive order. They must go out to any country and bribe and win contracts. And yet they will come to us and say, you are corrupt. Because we look towards them, we don't trust ourselves. The elites made efforts in those countries to ensure that there are strong systems, because they know if the systems or the structures are not strong, it's going to affect them. We will fight for only structures. We don't fight for the mindset, which I'm going to talk about. And so they don't allow the average person to be part of the system. Yet, I was, like Usman said, did you see one div covering 11 states? And everywhere I've gone in the Northwest, you see people carrying their transistor radio. Every morning they listen to BBC Hausa service. They have period, they listen. They listen to somebody from UK. And yet, how many radio stations do we have? We don't talk to them. Now to mobilizing stakeholders. I said I'm not going to explain much because Mike is tapping his leg. Don't worry, I'll cover within time. And I'm looking at it from 2 perspectives: global, international, and domestic. At the global level, every other country has an interest about what happens in Nigeria, either to be part of it or to be against. It could be through the embassies or through policies, and I put in bracket Trump. Trump's policies may affect us. His executive orders will affect us. But in particular, you have some countries that we look up to, some organizations, EU, other African countries, particularly the Sahel countries, who are our first line about the security programs. And I put there the release of Bami Yarma from a Niger Republic prison after serving 9 years, a notorious bandit. Maybe because of the belief that you are not assisting us again. They released Yarma. Maybe they just talked to one or two people and released. The man went back to Katsina. Everybody's afraid in Katsina. This man, who should have been killed by Niger Republic, is released. Their own action is, well, is your citizen, take him, solve your problem. Something needs to be done. You have multinational organizations, corporate organizations, foreign direct investors who may be involved in the development, particularly oil and gas, solid minerals, agriculture in Nigeria. International non-state actors, United Nations, African Union, ECOWAS, Amnesty International, Transparency International. They are very important. They say things that may not be true. And the government is forced to respond to them. If you don't, the typical Nigerian believe what they are saying is right. Then Nigerians in the diaspora, on most of the time we don't look at these people, but they have massive requirements. They could assist us once in a while when maybe the security agency wants to buy something, they need some equipment, and the country, the producing country is not ready. These are guys who should do it. And I give an example. The Israelis had produced a cyber material called Paragon that could be used to hack any, there's no type of handset, no system that the Paragon cannot hack. So we are struggling. We could use some of these people to get some of these things for us. And they can contribute in projecting Nigeria's image. And that's why on most sections, because of the importance of the global stakeholders, even the issues that are local, we tag them terrorism or terrorists, so that it could attract attention and assistance. On the domestic level, you have the three arms of government, and that's where the military and other security agencies comes in. They provide the enabling environment. About 40% of what is required. The military 20, the others 20, combined 40. The greater requirement is 60%, which is to be done by the average citizen on the street. They see people, they recognize them, they are not ready to talk. They are not ready to assist with information. Civil society organization, non-governmental organization, and so on and so forth. And I put there, all of these are important because we are looking at, or we are adopting the whole of societal approach, which we must define to suit us. Because it is the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe that first came up with the whole of societal approach. And they define it to suit their own purpose. At their own end, there's nothing like a traditional ruler. At their own end, there's nothing like religious leaders. With us here, these guys are very important. So we must define it to suit us. This is what we mean to encapsulate everybody. Because every citizen has a role to play. And I use Umaru Dikko example here for those who are old enough. Back then in the 80s, the government was ready, military government was ready. Oh, Umaru Dikko, you took our money, you ran. And they grabbed him in the street of London with the assistance of Israelis. It was ordinary people on the street who saw, how can you pick somebody just like that and you put him inside a container, and they drove off. On paper, officially, the British will claim it is the officials, police, and no, it is the average people who saw what happened that reported. And so the immigration, the police, they were waiting, and they knew the man, the old woman described, I think it's a black man. And you know, Umar Dikko wear kaftan with cap. This man is wearing cap. And this cap is not a Western cap. It's a cap from West Africa. They give description. And that's what we don't do here. If our child or our children are talking to us and they are discussing, say, cap, shut up. And you see what concerns you. Don't put one to what doesn't concern you. We need to encourage our children to be able to describe things. When they see something, challenge them. Describe what you've seen. Because that is what they do out there. Resources, I mentioned it. It's not every stakeholder that will give, that will act. But that's, we provide resources, particularly where there are victims. We always wait for NEMA to come in. NEMA cannot cover, or SEMA cannot cover everything. Organizations like this could assist. Advocacy, talking on behalf of others, mediation, problems. Don't allow it to fester. You can come in and assist. All you need to maybe go to the DGSSS, tell him this is what we are trying to do. Can you assist us? Yes, he trusts in you. That's why he brought all this crowd. So you must find a way, mediation. There must be security enlightenment education and awareness. which we don't do. We lip service this. We can't continue to talk, oh, there must be security education. We need to do something. And I said, let's start with primary and secondary schools. Catch them young. People from the various organizations can go to schools, look for notable individuals, let them go and talk to young boys and girls. At the resource center, even yesterday we hosted a school, 2 schools, primary and secondary school.